Hi, I'm Grady,
And I'm Zach.
and welcome to Highlights, a show where we recap a reality competition show, usually a drag one, like it's sports, even though it's not. We are currently covering the fourth season of Dragula in all of its spooky glory. Charisse is actually only halfway here today. She's out sick today, and the show must go on, but she'll be back. And the news segment today is actually last week's that we cut for time. So that segment is actually pre-recorded today, even though it's not usually. So it must have been meant to be because Charisse will still be a part of the episode somehow. That being said, we wish she was here and we hope she feels better soon. We missed you. All right, so we're going to get into the scoreboard and see where all of the contestants stand as we enter episode 8, involving the final challenge before we get the reunion episode and the finale, which means this is the episode that will determine who goes into the grand finale. So lots to cover there. But before we get there, we're going to recap what happened to make the stats are as they stand now, and also see if there's been any news or interesting things to talk about since last week's episode aired. But we already know there was because it was pre-recorded. Previously on Dragula. Last week's episode was Exorsisters, which was also the title of the short horror film that the cast filmed for what turned out to be this season's acting challenge. The episode opens up with the usual cinematic that will tie into the extermination later, and this time the Boulets are entering a chapel and getting weird with someone who clearly has never played a priest before. I got to be honest, I love the Boulets. I love this show. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for the Dragula team, you know? I didn't like this opening. I don't know if it just wasn't for me, but I just didn't really understand what the story was or what the point of it was. I don't know. I just didn't really understand it. So for me, this was probably my least favorite of the season so far.
I liked this one more than the Ghost Ship Glamour one. Aside from like their look from that one, that was a really cool look.
Yeah.
But I really didn't understand where they were going with the story, aside from the overall vibe of like corrupting the priest and all of that. Like, I feel like they had an idea of what they wanted to do. It just didn't translate very well.
And they had this they had the whole thing where, you know, Swanthala like shoots acid at the cross or something. I don't really know what was happening there, other than the fact that they wanted to do the effect. And I would argue that even in the shot I'm looking at, it's not totally coming out of the right spot on her mouth.
Oh, right. It almost looks like it's coming out of her like lip/nose.
Yeah, it's weird. So I don't really understand it. But anyways, that happened. I'm not going to spend too much time here because everyone knew Jade was going home last week, I think, and nobody was shocked by that. And the cast does not seem to be shocked either. Jade had a lot going on and it was pretty obvious. But that being said, Sigourney returns from extermination and reflects like the rest of the cast about missing Jade and offering condolences. And it seems like everybody is now in a good spot as a cast. This is the point in the season where it's hard to watch people go either way. So they didn't spend much time as a group really talking about it either.
I would argue that even last week's episode was hard to like see anybody go, because I still thought Jade was a really strong competitor.
Right. I did too.
And barring the unfortunate passing of her cat, I think she would still be in the competition, based on Sigourney's performance in the last challenge, which makes it, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm still happy Sigourney's there. I just think that, you know, it's done. What's done is done. But I think Jade made some choices that definitely shaped the competition a little bit. I really think she would still be here. But like you said, like seeing anybody go at this point, it definitely is a lot harder because they're all such strong competitors going forward.
Okay, so the competitors are told that they have to do a floor show performance that is demonology themed, and that they are filming Exorsisters, which with Peaches Christ directing and Matt Verratti writing it. And the winner will be cast in an upcoming horror film produced by Dread Central. Peaches Christ has been a guest judge, of course, before in previous seasons. She's really great on this show. And so is Matt Verratti. He's been a guest judge as well. He also happens to direct Dragula with Nathan. Always seems to do really good work on this show. This episode did have a Fright Feet challenge this week, and it was to paint their eyebrows like Peaches Christ while she watched them do it, and she selected the winner, which was actually kind of fun to watch. But Zavaleta wins the Fright Feet. She's done really well with those, and she gets the power to assign the roles for Exorsisters.
I like how involved the guest judges are in the competition. Like you had said this when we were watching this, like they're very like involved in like giving them like constructive critiques and like kind of guiding them not to win one way or the other, but to do their best and like give them really, really good feedback. And I think that's really, really cool. I was disappointed in some of the competitors of this Fright Feet, though. Like it was pretty straightforward what the challenge was, right? And I feel like so many of them just kind of ran the completely opposite direction and said, well, I'm just going to do my interpretation of what this is going to be. And if we haven't seen multiple times in this competition, on this season specifically, that it's not this still specifically, like it's such a great example. Like if it's not what your interpretation or what you want to do with this is, it's what's being put before you and how you execute that. And I feel like these are such more technical challenges. This was kind of disappointing.
Okay, so then minutes later, Zavaleta assigns all the roles to everybody, and minutes later they go out to rehearse with Peaches and Matt and show them their characters and get some feedback. And I will say, I don't think Zavaleta was shady or anything when assigning the roles. And I actually kind of like how she casted it personally. She gave herself the best part, which is tends to be what happens. But, I think she genuinely thought she could play the part. And, she made Dahli and Saint the couple because, they have real stuff to draw on or whatever the hell's happening there. And and she gave Sigourney something that would allow her to apply her critiques, and she gave Hoso something she knew that she would do well with, which was a demon. So I actually kind of liked it, and I really liked Peaches and Matt giving them the feedback that they gave them as well, and the approach they took with the challenge. So
right, I agree. I think in every situation where she's had to assign roles, I do think she actually takes people's strengths into consideration so that the group overall performs well. I think she has an understanding that if one person doesn't do well, the whole group will suffer.
I agree.
And obviously giving herself the role that she would do best in, like, she won the competition, so like, why wouldn't she? But she seems to have a very good understanding of like everyone's strengths, and casting them in the roles that she gave them, I think was really smart.
I do also like that they really wanted this to be serious. So I think immediately everybody treated it like a drag race challenge. And really tried to be funny with it, or, what kind of they expected drag performers to kind of do with it. And I like that the feedback from Peaches was, take it seriously, believe you're in the role, but because you are in drag, the camp will kind of come naturally. Because I think when you watch a cartoon character, the cartoon character is in that world, but they're a cartoon character, so naturally it's a little weird and kind of ridiculous. So I kind of appreciated that. Okay, so then I get worried about Sigourney because she decides to do exactly what she always does, despite the critiques she's been getting. But then knows she needs to do something different at least. And Zavaleta, which was weird given everything that's happened previously this season, gives her help and ideas, which was kind of cool to watch. But I'm also really upset that Sigourney needed it.
I love that. Like, I feel like Sigourney asked her as kind of like facetiously, like, do you have any pointers? And she's like, well, as a matter of fact, I do.
She like pulls out a book.
First
Yeah.
of all, there's this. I've been taking notes since day one, girl. So this is what I think you should do.
The Boulets performed their entrance floor show, and I think they looked great at always. Great as always. But I will say, for some reason, I just didn't like this as much either compared to their previous looks this season so far. Looked really cool and stuff, but I don't know, something about it just was a little lackluster for me, but had really great visuals.
I was living for the crown. Like, I thought that was a really cool headpiece, but it just didn't match with the theme. It kind of read Dracula almost. Like,
yeah, they don't always go on book, which I don't mind. Yeah, but I remember like watching it and I'm like, wow, they're really working that cape. And then I was like, that's because the cape is kind of really it. Like, when I started to look at it,
else to work.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like I really like this headpiece. I really like this cape. What if those weren't there? And I was like, oh,
it's a bodysuit.
Yeah. But the visuals and stuff were really good. I was like, this would be a good music video outfit. But
Right.
And it would be good, really good if I just needed like a new profile picture. They're just standing there and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. It just wasn't quite what I was expecting, I guess.
Yeah, especially after the cup holder hair and
exactly
the last couple looks. The last couple looks they brought us were so I think unique and out there. This was very kind of plain Jane.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed. It's okay. All right, so this week's guest judges are Ray Santiago. Love him. He's from the television series set in the Evil Dead universe called Ash vs. Evil Dead. And Misha Osherovich, I probably butchered that, from the film Freaky. Are you familiar with them or any of their projects?
I am not, but I thought they made really cool guest judges.
Yeah, I thought they were really good. I haven't seen Freaky yet, but I heard that was like an interest. That's the Vince Vaughn like Freaky Friday inspired kind of horror film that just came out recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ash vs. Evil Dead is really good. I don't know if you've seen the Evil Dead movies. They're amazing.
Those I have seen. I just not seen Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, it's so good. Lucy Lawless is in it. The whole Sam Raimi is in there.
Oh, okay. Well, I know what I'm watching today.
she's great in that show. Sam Raimi, the one who does Evil Dead, the franchise and the series, also did Xena, Hercules, all of those fantasy shows as well. So a lot of carryovers in the Rolodex there. So it's kind of nice to watch those. Okay, so let's talk about Exorsisters. I didn't think it was bad, but I kind of hoped it would be better. I don't really know what I was looking for, but I just know somehow this wasn't quite it. And I found myself kind of bored like halfway through.
Yeah, I felt like even like despite the critiques on not making it overtly campy and funny, it was still overtly campy and funny.
Right.
Especially with choices of makeup and characterizations.
Right.
There was a serious lack of seriousness that took you out of the story.
Right.
And out of the characterization of the entire story itself. So it was hard to get into.
Yeah, I
agree. The entire time I was thinking like, wow, which one of these is the worst and who's going home? That's like the entire time I was watching it is all I could think about.
Yeah, I completely agreed. It was a little rough. A little rum this week.
I am glad that Saint changed her voice though, because
smart move. Yeah.
If I honestly thought she was the most convincing character,
I did too
in the moment.
I did too.
And if it wasn't for her runway not being quite over the top, I think she would have done a little better. Because I feel like acting wise, she probably committed to her character the most.
Yeah, my top two I think were Saint and Sigourney in this.
Sigourney,
And
really?
yeah, I didn't like it at first. Like she showed up and I was like, whoa, this was a choice. But she really committed to it. And by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm on board with this, whatever this person is. Because I felt the opposite journey with La Zavaleta during it. Whereas when we started, I was like, okay, La Zavaleta is doing really well. And then for me, La Zavaleta eventually just kind of like lost momentum. And so I don't know.
I see that, yeah.
But yeah.
Because I thought I was going to love Zavaleta's character throughout. And it did
really
kind of like
to.
fizz out.
Yeah, I really wanted to.
Throughout.
By the end of it, I was just like, oh, I don't care about you so much no more. And I felt the same about Hoso, to be honest with you. So
yeah, and the critiques for Hoso were very true. Like that was a very easy character to do, and it was very textbook possessed person.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, but there's also the floor show, so let's get into those real quick. First up is Dahli.
I think I've seen that face several times.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
It's like their Nosferatu character wandered into a Hot Topic.
Yeah, it's almost exactly that.
Dress themselves.
Yeah,
like the outfit is cool. I'm so tired of seeing that face.
Yeah, it was disappointing for me. I just want them to do something different. Like I get being committed to the brand, but you know, this isn't the place to do that. So
right.
Do something else. What about La Zavaleta?
Okay, so I really didn't dislike this look. And I thought they really learned from props not working for them and just making it part of your act and rushing and like playing through it.
Right.
Like they ripped their wings off and kind of made it a thing, and like, a suffering succubus. I had a lot of thoughts and opinions about eliminations because of this.
Yeah. I really liked it when she walked, and even like looking at it now, it looks great to me.
Yeah. Like this looks like a kick-ass demon.
Yeah. And I appreciate she did try to roll with the wings coming off. And it almost worked because I found myself, even as we were watching it, I was like, did they mean to come off?
Right.
Which is good, but I feel like ultimately it should be like, oh, that was meant to do that.
right.
And she didn't quite sell it enough for me. And then it got a little weird because then she was just kind of rolling on the floor like, my wings are gone and now I'm just sexy.
Right.
And
but until the Boulet said something, I thought that was part of their act. I thought that was almost like a fallen angel gimmick, like my wings are being ripped off kind of thing. But it also didn't quite mix because they're already a demon. So I understand their critique, but I wouldn't have otherwise known. But I'm also not there seeing the whole floor show.
Yeah. I was like, oh, is she rejecting being a demon? I don't know. But then she was like, but I'm still a whore. And I was like, I don't know.
I'm still sexy.
yeah. I was like, I don't know. This is quite the storyline I want. But this is weird. Sigourney Beaver.
I stopped myself from throwing something at my TV because I don't have money for a new TV. It's like in my head, I just heard Elmer Fudd's voice going, too little, too late. Like, it's just not enough. Like, you're wearing like a piece of cloth and you got some like the babies on the string, like it's cool, like whatever, but look around you, look around the workroom, girl. Like, you have so much competition and they're doing so much more than this. I get wanting to be true to who you are and wanting to be true to your drag, but as they say at the start of every floor show or every critique, we're not here to judge your drag. We're here to judge your drag as it relates to this competition and the challenge we put before you. And they've had such a hard time with that this season.
You know, they told her like, you know, stop giving us the same silhouette, stop wearing this dress, all this stuff. And her response to it was like, oh, cool. I just won't brush my hair and I'll take the dress off.
Right.
And like,
we'll do some hairy tassels this time. Like,
it'll be horrifying. And then she was like, I need more. And then she was like, all right, look at my bloody babies.
Right. Like, what is the story here? Like,
I don't
what
get
is
it.
The story of your character. I
didn't really understand how it pertained to Lilith or anything she mentioned going for. Now we have Hoso Terra Toma.
I hated that I loved this so much.
I know,
because I've come to not like Hoso just because of everything I've seen of her character so far since Mary Cherry left.
Right.
And a part of me was just like, I wonder how many PAs helped you into this. But this was a really, really cool, like, crossroads demon looking.
But I did love it though. The whole time she was out there, the details were just amazing. And you can tell they loved shooting it.
Like the key thing into the chest. Like.
Yeah, it was so good. And she's wearing the skin from all the PAs. And I just she's like, help me with my outfit this week, just with a razor. Like it was great. Yeah, it was good, especially compared to what everybody else brought. This was a fully realized concept. And then we had Saint.
So I understood her angle. Like I really did. And I really liked it. Once again, like what is she doing on the stage?
My problem is I feel like Saint does a lot of modeling and a lot less performing.
Yeah, and you can see that.
Yeah, and it's weird because they've told her, like, I don't know, for 6 weeks
right
to stop doing it, and I don't understand where the disconnect is there. The Boulets are deliberating and they are just as underwhelmed by this episode as we are. And they don't spend a lot of time themselves really discussing the competitors alone. I will say, though, they seem to debate on whether it was okay that the competitors seemed to putter out this week. And I really like that Swanthalo really stood their ground, was like, no, like,
yeah,
this is what they signed up for. And it's their one shot to do it. And they kind of just have to do it.
Yeah, I like that they basically opened up and was like, everyone deserves an extermination this week. And that was as a viewer, it was refreshing to see, because like we've been screaming at the TV now for at least 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because as viewers, we're just like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is not the level of competition we've seen, and it just seems to be very subdued from either lack of critiques, lack of pushback, lack of everything. So it was nice to see Swanthalo stand their ground.
Okay, so winners and losers this week. There has to be some. Hoso is named winner of the challenge, which is deserved, I guess, with the floor show especially. But also means that they are the first to win a second challenge. And Hoso happened to win both of their challenges in a row, which is kind of cool. They also win a role in an upcoming horror movie produced by Dread Central. Then Saint is deemed safe, the only one deemed so. And Zavaleta, Dahli, and Sigourney are all up for extermination and will have to be suffocated by a latex vacuum.
As they were describing that, I got anxiety. Like, it sounded like a terrifying extermination. I was like, wait, they can't really put them in like a latex vacuum. That sounds terrifying. And they did.
It's time for them to go into the Cauldron for a little bit. And I was looking to see what's been added to the shelves. I see Jade's broken guitar. And I think there might be the prop from Betty's Weird Wild West look, but I can't really tell what it is. Either way, the trophies from their kills have been added to the rest of the extermination decor in the Cauldron. And then Hoso then celebrates their win and reflects on having cancer and their journey and their perspective on life.
I had an issue with something that Hoso said in the Cauldron.
Oh.
Because she had said something about it not being drag not being for not just for like white people, and then she had to she gestured over to Saint, and then Zavaleta was like, well, I'm not either.
Yeah, they had that whole conversation, and then they were like, it's for everybody,
right? Which I thought was really not smart, but I thought was really good of the other competitors to say it really is for everybody. Like, we talk about dividing each other, the more divisive our community becomes.
Sigourney, Dahli, and Zavaleta get suffocated in the latex vacuum. And then ultimately, it's revealed that Zavaleta was the one who got killed. Which one, I didn't necessarily expect it to be her, but it makes
I was shocked.
It makes sense to a certain degree. It was, she's been there a lot. But also, even the death scene isn't my favorite of the death scenes, which is weird to complain about. But again, love the show. Love everybody there. Just as a viewer, her choking, I wasn't really sold on the choking. And it just felt like it also took an eternity to do it. It took forever for them to open the bag. And then it took forever for them to decide to kill her. It really bothered me.
Yeah, it was a really long, drawn out death sequence. And it was very underwhelming. Like, what? It was.
Yeah, it was weird. And then I still don't really understand how it fit into the opening. But
yeah, it didn't really match up at all.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it. But that's how it went down.
Unless it had something to do with the fact that she played the priest.
That's what I thought.
Does that mean that whoever was in that role was going to be eliminated? Because then that seems very fixed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I was like, but that doesn't make sense, because if it had been somebody else, how would that have worked out? I don't know. It just seemed weird.
On top of that, though, as much as I appreciate Sigourney's drag, I thought Sigourney should have gone home.
It's time for top tweets. Okay, let's get into some news. So now that Dragula has been airing on Shudder and has been getting more viewership than ever before, and is getting ever so close to breaking the mainstream barrier that a certain other reality show has already shattered the ceiling for, all kinds of people are now comparing the two. Not that they weren't compared enough already.
I would have to agree, but I feel like besides those Maury Povich, is it a man or is it a woman? Like, besides that other reality TV show, drag isn't mainstream, except for those of us that frequent our local drag bars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I definitely think Drag Race is a household name now. It's like people talk about it at my work.
But just that one type of drag, not a not drag kings.
Right.
Any of the other drag I've had flavors of in my local drag community.
Prior to 2009 was when Drag Race aired, right, Grady?
Mm-hmm.
So prior to that, drag was never in people's living rooms. Right. So I think drag is becoming
Except for those Maury Povich, is it a man or is it a woman episode?
Right, where it's done in jest. It's not
fun
taken as a serious art form.
Absolutely.
Now it's in
totally-
people's living room as like, this is art. This is like, and
Wow.
it's slowly trickled into affecting like the makeup industry and the
Sure.
fashion industry, and slowly has started to affect all these other facets of the world where it without that other show would not have happened. And I think Dragula now is approaching that.
And that's what these the articles that have been popping up lately about the two are discussing, because
On one of the first seasons, they literally state that they thought that the other reality drag competition was only highlighting one type of drag. And they wanted to show everyone that there's more than one type of drag. There's more than one type of drag artist.
Right.
There's all kinds.
And they mentioned another queen. I don't know if you guys are keeping up with UK at all on WoW, but Charity Case is on Drag Race UK, and she's a very, very Dragula-esque performer. And it was very clear from the beginning that Rue hated it. Like, completely hated it. Whereas it's very obvious they probably go all the way on this show. So a lot of people are saying maybe she should cross over and do all these things. They want certain people to cross over and get a second chance to highlight what they do.
For sure. But I have to argue that if it's my show, I can leave whatever legacy I want to leave because it's my show.
Right.
And the Boulet brothers can leave whatever legacy they want to leave. Absolutely. I don't think that the competitors from that other reality show should take up time and space on this show. I feel like there are so many other drag artists that probably need to be highlighted on this show that probably aren't getting enough traction or recognition. I feel like the people who've already been on the other drag reality competition don't really need a platform like that.
I think, at least in my experience, anytime the two shows come up in conversation with against each other, it is often to the detriment of Drag Race, whether it be in how the queens are treated, whether it be in the Boulet brothers' respect of the drag as an art form, like the fact that they still say, drag is an art and it's subjective, but we're not judging your drag. RuPaul can give two shits. Like, drag is to RuPaul what drag is to RuPaul, and that's what you're on. That you're there to do RuPaul's drag. You're not there to do your art. Now, it doesn't mean that RuPaul doesn't foster that sisterhood. Like, once you're on that show, like, that's definitely a thing. And many queens have gone to have very successful careers because of that. And that is its own thing. But I think, especially because of the popularity that the Boulet brothers have gained through Dragula, or the show has gained, every time the two are pit against each other as far as which show paints the community in a better light as far as treatment and where the community should go, Dragula always comes out on top. Because I think RuPaul's Drag Race is a very dated sense of what drag has to be. Anytime you try to put something in a box and say this is what something has to be, that's not the way forward.
And I totally didn't mean that contestants from Drag Race needed to stay in their lane. I just feel like there are so many different drag competitors that are not getting highlighted on Drag Race that could be highlighted on Boulet Brothers, on Dragula. I feel like someone who's already been cast on Drag Race doesn't necessarily need that 15 minutes on Dragula. There are so many different types of drag. It's amazing. I want to see more. I want to see all of it.
Yeah, my dream would be like for Drag Race to do one of their like horror challenges or something and invite the Boulets or something as guest judges or something. That
would be cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's never gonna happen, but that's my dream.
The speed bump there is certain people's egos. Like, can they put that aside and it's very much an older generation's way of thinking versus a newer generation's way of thinking. It's like,
Yep.
You need to understand this is the way that it's going. Like, or can you put your prejudices aside and understand that it's much better when we include everybody? And I don't know that, quite frankly, I don't know that RuPaul can accept that.
Okay. See, it's already an interesting conversation. I can't wait to see this unfold, like with everybody in the mainstream. So let's get into the scoreboard for the semifinal. Again, these are the competitors we started with, and here's who we have left. Zavaleta is now dead at 5th place, and we only have 4 competitors left. Extermination stats are rough for Sigourney. This was her 3rd time down there. Everyone else has only been up for it 1 time. And for challenge wins, Hoso Terra Toma takes the lead with her 2nd win. Thoughts on how things are looking going into the semifinal?
I don't think Sigourney is going to survive Killer Clowns. I keep hoping, and I think, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
This week's episode is Killer Clowns. The synopsis only says that they have to create a conceptualized look based on Killer Clowns, and that's it, and perform it on the floor show. So I don't know if they're going to do anything else for it. I kind of hope they do. We are heading into the semifinal with our top 4, and we'll soon know who the top 3 monsters of the season are going to the finale. And we'll be back, of course, next week to break that all down. If you want to check out more of our coverage this season, you can do that on the PG Media channel right now, and also subscribe today so you don't miss out. There's also my other shows that I upload if you guys want to check those out, like my Planet Grady show, where I just randomly upload videos about nerdy and entertainment things I like to chat about sometimes. Sometimes I do some trailer reactions on there. It's fun. You can check that out as well. You can also follow PG Media on Instagram and Twitter. And as always,
thank you for watching highlights, and we'll see you next week.